hard, looks like it's gonna rain all night.
Hello everyone, my name is David Termini. I'm a woodworker, furniture maker, and artist in wood. I'm making hearts now. I'm into doing it for about a year, and I really enjoy doing it and making them and giving them as gifts. As you can see in this video, I'm working with a piece of rosewood, a beautiful piece of wood that I found in my scrap box that I've had for years. And I am now in the process of sanding it and getting it ready for the finish. If you like my video, please show your appreciation. I really appreciate it. And thanks for watching.
Counted every drop, about to blow my top. I wish this night would hurry up and stop. I got the blues so bad I can hardly catch my breath. The harder it rains, the worse that it gets. And this is the time I love to be holding you tight. I guess I'll just go crazy tonight. It's raining so hard, looks like it's gonna rain all night. And this is the time I love to be holding you tight. But I guess I'll have to accept the fact that you're not here. I wish this night would hurry up and end, my dear. It's raining.
Okay, at this point I'm going to give it some stain. I use dye stain. It's a very thin, penetrating stain that is pigment free. It does not have any pigment, so you get a good clear color through the stain. And I like this because it's a good way of putting some color on the wood and showing the grain. So what I'm going to do is put this stain on with a brush, good and wet, and then I'm going to wipe it off with a towel, with a paper towel, and that will be it as far as adding any color to this piece of wood.
I got the blues so bad I can hardly catch my breath. The harder it rains, the worse that it gets. And this is the time I love to be holding you tight. I guess I'll just go crazy tonight.
Okay folks, what I'm doing here, I've got shellac, clear shellac, clear blonde shellac. It's the high quality shellac mixed from shellac flakes and alcohol, and dissolved. Very thin. I make a very thin coating and I brush it on with a brush. I make it as thin as water. I want it to soak and penetrate deep into the wood. And what I'm doing here, I'm going to give both coats, both sides a coat, and then I'll let that dry really good for about 4 hours. And then my next step is going to be to sand it down lightly with 320 grit fine sandpaper. You'll see the next step coming along. Okay, once the shellac has dried, what I'm doing, I'm sanding down the dried shellac and getting it as smooth as I can. This first coat is very important to sand it as smooth as you can. I'm going to sand both sides, and then after this is sanded smooth, I'm going to wipe it off very well, and I'm going to actually give it another coat. I'm going to repeat the shellac. I'm going to give it 2 coats. I'm going to give it another coat and let that dry really good. And once it's dry, I'm going to sand it down again, just like I'm doing here now. And I'm going to rub it. You'll see in the next step, I'm going to take a piece of green Scotch-Brite. That's almost the finest Scotch-Brite. You can also use steel wool if you don't have, you can use 4-0 steel wool if you don't have Scotch-Brite, but I prefer Scotch-Brite because steel wool sometimes can leave little small metal filings embedded in the wood, and later they can rust, and that rust can show through your finish. So I would say go ahead and get yourself some of that Scotch-Brite. You can actually buy it at the grocery store. They sell it for scrubbing pans, but make sure you got to get the green one, the green color Scotch-Brite. At any rate, you'll see that in the next step. Okay, here I am. I've cut down the finish a second time. I cut down the shellac. That second coat, I cut it down. Now I'm rubbing it down with Scotch-Brite, and I'm getting it really, 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 really smooth. It's very important. And so just take your time and smooth it out. What I do a lot of times when I'm rubbing something out, I feel it with my hands. Sometimes your hands can see more than your eyes, but you just feel it very carefully. And if you feel anywhere that it feels rough or you don't think it's smooth enough, just go ahead and rub it some more and get it really nice. The smoother you get it, the better the next coat of finish is going to go on. And while I've got you here, I'm going to tell you what I'm going to do next. I use Varathane water-based polyurethane. I love this stuff. It's non-toxic, and well, I mean, it's not like the solvent-based finishes. It's a water-based finish, so I still wear a mask when I spray, but it's not as toxic as some other finishes. And I spray it with a shading gun. You can do it with a brush, but I have discovered if you thin it lightly and you use a shading gun, and once you get the technique for it, you can get a perfectly smooth finish with no brush strokes. That's the key. Now, using a satin, if you use a satin sheen, you will not get brush strokes. If you're using a gloss sheen, it's possible you could get some brush strokes. But I discovered if you spray it, you thin it out a little bit with water, and you spray it, which you'll see in the next step, and I give it 2 coats of this finish. Let it dry for about 4 hours, sand it down with 320, and give another coat, and then you're done. So you'll see in the next step. Okay, here I am. I'm giving each side a very light coat. I'll spray one side, I'll wait about 45 minutes, and I'll turn it over and do the other side. I don't know if you can see it or not, but I've got a board that I've shot very thin brads through and made a great device for holding pieces while you're doing the finish, especially these hearts, since they have a finish on both sides. And it really works well because it keeps it off the wood, and it's easy. If you're careful with the way you spray, you don't get any overspray on the opposite side, and then what you can do is just flip it and spray the other side when the top side's dry, and you'll get a beautiful finish on both sides. Again, I use Varathane water-based finish. You can get it at Home Depot. A little secret I'll tell you real quick: if you find a can with a dent in it, you can get it for $10 off. Just bug the guy; he'll give you a discount. There you go.